6:30 by our studio clock. When it is 6:30, it's time for Prime News on My Major Prime. Receive Thursday greetings live and direct from our studios at Fengutron Bange in the country's economic capital, Douala. Genda Peldrin Blanche King is my name. To begin the news, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Minister Paul Atanganji, has imposed some chiefs and funds from the respective northwest and southwest regions to seek peaceful measures that will lead them back into their office or respective areas of command. He again offers an open door for separatists to drop their arms and get integrated into the society. Nora Kakebi completes the story in the following report.
The Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, yesterday, August 19, 2020, met in Yaoundé with some traditional rulers of the respective northwest and southwest regions to seek modest ways to restore peace and tranquility in the war-ravaged zones of the country. The main objective of this come together is strictly to ensure that there is peace and maximum security in the respective regions for both the funds and the population. Therefore, the government is willing to forgive the repentant separatist fighters who are ready to lay down their arms and accept reintegration into the society as responsible Cameroonians. According to Minister Atanganji, the major concerns of the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, and the Prime Minister, Dr. Dion Gute, is how to accompany the various funds and chiefs to their respective fondoms and chiefdoms.
How do we accompany our funds back to their fondoms, their villages? This is a major concern expressed by His Excellency President Paul Biya and His Excellency Prime Minister.
The funds, being the custodians of tradition, are expected to preach peace and must be able to forgive those who hurt them in the past. According to Fcfa, the 11th of Bangolan, those who desecrated their palaces, harassed them, do need to be forgiven and the land purified.
The funds must forgive those who yesterday harassed them. They must forgive those who desecrated their palaces. And in some cases, some sort of purification has to be done.
Meanwhile, the fund of Lebang Fontem, Fond Jifua II, applauds the government for not imposing their ideas on them, but rather giving them the opportunity to make major decisions with regards to their return to various fondoms.
Through the meeting, I got to understand that government don't want to act like a robust machinery that decides on its own, but wanted to find out from us what it can do to enable us back to our palaces.
The meeting also focused on issues related to coronavirus, on how to curb the spread. Also present were prominent government officials and parliamentarians from the two troubled regions.
Organizers of the All-Anglophone General Conference, AGC, have maintained their stance on the possible solutions for the Anglophone crisis rocking the two English-speaking regions of the country. They equally condemn all violent acts and gruesome executions in recent times carried out by armed individuals in these regions. This was during a meeting which took place yesterday at the Metropolitan Archdiocese in Douala. Details in the following report. Conveners of the Anglophone General Conference have condemned violent acts and gruesome executions perpetrated by armed men recently in the respective northwest and southwest regions. During a meeting organized yesterday, August 19, the conveners revisited the gruesome killings of Miss Comfort Tumasang in Moyoka on August 10, Besem Eno in Tiko on August 12, the killing of 7 civilians at Mautu Moyoka on August 14, not leaving out those who have been brutally murdered in the northwest region, the recent being a school teacher shot dead on August 18. According to a press release, the organizers claim there are other undocumented killings which have not been mentioned committed by armed individuals. The neutral and independent body has disapproved all immoral actions as solutions to the ongoing crisis. They encourage genuine negotiations and unconditional talks. Ellis Smith is the coordinator of the AGC.
The subject matter is the continuous killings, especially the recent killing that happened in Moyoka, in Bamenda, and other parts of the southwest and northwest regions. It necessitated religious leaders to meet in order to condemn it vigorously and also encourage all the actors to have a spirit of love, humility, in order to look for a lasting solution to this cyclical crisis. First, the government, because the government has the moral obligations, is to, where legally possible, release all those arrested in connection to this crisis, because it's going to create the enabling ground or create a certain detente for confidence measures to be established. And then secondly, we encourage the government to enter into genuine negotiation or talks with separatist forces.
The conveners hold they are worried over the general state of the country and the deteriorating situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, reason why they are dedicated in their cause for peace. Cameroonians across the country or nation have expressed mixed feelings following the recent decision of the Minister of Territorial Administration, Minister Paul Atanga-Nji, restricting the sales of bladed tools in the two English-speaking regions of the country. Our reporter, Audrey Zatsa, sampled some opinions and compiled the following report.
The decision of Minister Paul Atanga-Nji to restrict the use of bladed arms in the northwest and the southwest regions came as a means to curb the brutal killings by slaughtering of people in Cameroon, according to the information made known to the public. The outbreak of a recent video on social media in which a lady in Moyoka town identified as Comfort Tumazang was being slaughtered by some members of the non-state armed group prompted Minister Atanga-Nji to take this decision through a communique. According to this communique, residents of the northwest and the southwest regions will henceforth need an authorization from the divisional officers to buy bladed arms, an authorization which shall be renewed after 3 months. This to reduce the insecurity ravaging these regions in the country. The decision has divided public opinion on the acquisition of farming and cooking tools, with some criticizing the move, as is the case with Otto Manga, a technician in Boya, who believes that it is going to be a stressful procedure for farmers and that this decision will be difficultly applicable.
You have a farm and you have just you have a short period to clear the farm and cultivate. You need a hoe, you need a machete and all that, and you need to get the permission from the SDU, and probably it takes about 2 weeks. Now, within that period, the crop must have been bad.
A Douala citizen would love to understand this decision and its applicability.
Nous avons déjà des machettes à la maison. S'il faut maintenant un permis pour avoir une autre machette, est-ce que ces machettes seront immatriculées? Est-ce que ces machettes auront peut-être un numéro de série? Autant de choses qu'il faut d'abord réfléchir avant d'agir. Ces rebelles qui ont déjà des machettes, on peut les localiser facilement à travers leurs machettes. C'est des choses comme ça que moi je n'arrive pas à comprendre.
To others, it is a good decision as it will reduce violence in the troubled regions. The
Transport Minister Jean-Ernest Masenangale Bebehe has launched a new system of matriculation for drivers in the country. The new system of matriculation will enable a mobile identification of drivers. Lasha Kingsley reports.
The Minister of Transport, Jean-Ernest Ngale Bibihe, has said the new system of matriculation, which has been in use since August 17, 2020, will enable a mobile identification of drivers as they will carry it along like a credit card. According to the press release dated August 19, 2020, those in possession of the traditional categories are free to use them until expiry date. Meanwhile, those with 4 digits must conform to the new system in place latest December 31st, 2020, or face serious sanctions from his ministerial department. The minister, through the release, reassured road users of government's commitment to ameliorating the transport sector in the country.
We now move over to the southwest region. In Kumba, some support tools have been handed to various vigilante groups in Kmer division. The tools from the head of state is to fight against insecurity and ensure peace in the division. Our reporter Tamfu Dimbie tells us the following.
The senior divisional officer for Kmer Tundong Chamberlain says these items are from the head of state, President Paul Biya, to vigilance groups in Kmer division, intended in helping the forces of law and order to fight insecurity.
Coming from the head of state to support all the vigilante groups of Kmer division. You know, the exercise is not easy for them. That is why he thought necessary to send this small gift to them, to empower them and to permit them to work without any major problem. What I could note openly say is that monthly they are going to have a small thing. They will tell you exactly those are concerned.
Motorbikes, mobile phones, raincoats, boats, torches, and many others were on Wednesday, 19 August 2020, handed to the divisional officers of the 5 subdivisions in Kmer division to channel them to the respective vigilante groups. This is the second time motorbikes and other gadgets are given to vigilance groups to provide information to the forces of law and order on the security issues in the division, and Tundong Chamberlain thinks that the groups have been wonderful in their activities.
Yes, I can say I'm fully satisfied. According to the record all of us have received. Let me take an example of Kamer, this committee, which is functioning without any major problem, and this quarter is fully secure. Thanks to the activity of those young boys who have decided to support the forces of law and order.
Even though vigilance committees are created to contribute in the fight against insecurity, Kmer division remains in the abode of insecurity.
Still in Kumba, some youths who publicly assaulted and mistreated a young lady have been apprehended by forces of law and order. The lady was accused of theft, and Jungle Justice applied Kmer SDO Tundong Chamberlain stated that such actions will not go unpunished. With the help of those apprehended, proper investigations have been approved. Let's now hear from Tamfu Dimbie.
Fiango Kumba 2 subdivision. This is the site where a young girl was recently hung on this tree and severely beaten on pretext that she stole a mobile phone. The perpetrators of the act were arrested, and on Wednesday, 19 August 2020, a mixed contingent of security forces accompanied the Kmer SDO Tundong Chamberlain to the scene to get abreast with what transpired.
You join.
Following a video that circulated on the social media and the confession made by the perpetrators, Tangi Henry, 30 years old, used a rope and tied the young girl suspected to have stolen the mobile phone on this tree, while Nkongo Samuel, 39 years old, who had served a prison term between January 2015 to 2020, used a cane to apply severe jungle punishment on the said lady. Meanwhile, Teba Pride, 24 years old, stood and watched as a spectator. On the same video, Noka Romeo, 17 years old, used a video phone to film the action. Meanwhile, Nzor Rato, 23 years old, whose phone was stolen, rushed to the scene and rescued the said lady from the brutal action of his friends. To the Kmer SDO Tundong Chamberlain, any form of criminality will be accompanied by severe punishment to perpetrators.
All those who are committing atrocity within Kmer are going to be arrested. They have only one way out, is to surrender and join the call of the head of state. And let me also seize this opportunity to say it openly that within the whole Kmer division, they kill somebody around you without the reaction of the population, all the surrounding population are going to be arrested.
The perpetrators of the act were later on taken away by the forces of law and order. The action was inhuman, but reasons to tag the perpetrators as separatist fighters are still very scanty.
Some traders at the Bonamoussadi market are decrying the deplorable and unhygienic state of their market. Some blame this to irresponsible refuse disposal and negligence. This, according to many, poses a major health threat. Our reporter Dolly Gonde visited the market and gathered the following.
Hardly would you walk past the Bonamoussadi market without a hand shield on the nose. Although hard scents are a common habitude characterizing most Cameroonian markets, especially those in the economic capital of Douala, but the stench from this one is appalling, making breathing relatively impossible. Despite the obligatory wearing of face masks, the deal is still not enough to stop the proliferation of stench, as even those with a lower breathing sense can still feel the pinch. From the discomfort caused to the numerous health risks involved, some traders say the biggest consequence of this problem is in its ability to repel potential clients from purchasing their produce.
C'est vrai que c'est vraiment très insalubre. C'est vrai qu'il y a beaucoup de saleté, mais vraiment on n'a pas trop le choix. C'est vrai, nous sommes là pour chercher notre pain quotidien. En fait, moi, je me suis habitué parce que je sais qu'ici, là, ce n'est que là que je peux avoir un pain quotidien. Des autres côtés, là, je peux pas facilement trouver une place quelque part. Là. Bon, c'est la raison pour laquelle je suis obligé donc de rester derrière la poubelle comme ça pour vendre. Et avec le coronavirus, là, ça devient de plus en plus difficile parce que même déjà, les clients voient que nous sommes derrière la saleté.
The cause to this, many say, is due to reckless refuse disposal, with prawn sellers, fish sellers, vegetable and other perishable goods sellers having the greater part of the blame to bear. Individual irresponsibility is what this trader suggests is cause là.
Vraiment, moi je suis là en longueur de journée. Je vois tout ce qui passe jeter la poubelle là. Pour moi, c'est la mauvaise foi des usagers. Parce que quand chacun arrive là, parfois le bac est même vide. Mais quelqu'un peut faire lancer au sol, comme vous voyez actuellement, le bac est vide là. Et ils sont quand même en train de jeter au sol. Donc...
On the other hand, the irregularity in task performed by the Hygiene and Sanitation Company with the French acronym ISACAM, this trader says is another reason for the oddity.
Bon, ces 2 derniers jours, c'est vrai, ISACAM n'est pas depuis lundi. Sont pas régulés par rapport à avant.
Away from the market periphery, the nearby government residential site, commonly called Camp 6, still around the Bonamoussadi neighborhood, is recounting the same story of poor hygienic conditions. And according to this man, the citizens are solely to blame for their indisciplined behavior.
Les citoyens que nous sortons du quartier, parce qu'il y a d'autres qui sortent du quartier avec la brouette, ils voient le bac est vide, mais ils viennent verser les ordures par terre. Si ils n'avaient pas employé certains gens qui viennent ramasser encore les ordures pour mettre dans le bac avant qu'ils viennent porter, c'est que vraiment les ordures devaient prendre toute la route. Donc vraiment, c'est le peuple camerounais eux-mêmes, ils doivent changer de mentalité. On ne doit pas seulement attendre le gouvernement. Tu vas attendre le gouvernement qui vient chez toi ramasser tes ordures pour venir mettre dans le bac. Donc vraiment, nous n'allons pas accuser le gouvernement pour l'autre là.
With COVID-19 still wrecking the nation, Africa and the world at large, there is even more need for individuals to uphold high sanitary standards, as these poor hygienic conditions could only lead to more riskier pandemics.
You're watching the 6:30 Prime News on My Media Prime. Out of the country, a shipwreck that occurred yesterday in Libya following the explosion of a migrant boat has claimed the lives of over 45 persons. Student journalist on internship Etape Quentin tells us more in the following report.
C'est le naufrage le plus meurtrier de l'année. Au moins 45 personnes sont mortes, 37 rescapés secourus par les pêcheurs. Selon les agences de l'ONU pour les migrants et réfugiés, les survécus du naufrage ont expliqué que leur moteur avait explosé au large de Zouara, en Libye. Cet incident intervient alors que le monde traverse une période noire de son histoire due à la pandémie Covid-19. En rappel, ces naufrages sont récurrents. On se souvient encore de celui de 2014 en Méditerranée où l'on déplorait au moins 20 000 migrants qui avaient trouvé la mort. Pour le cas présent, les Nations Unies ont fait savoir que les survivants ont été placés en détention en Libye. Ces derniers, nous martèle-t-on, sont originaires du Sénégal, du Mali, du Tchad et du Ghana. Les agences ont regretté la manière dont les migrants sont accueillis en Libye. Elles évoquent l'absence d'un programme européen en la matière. D'après ces agences, la Libye ne peut être considérée comme une destination sûre vers laquelle peuvent être reconduits les migrants. D'après l'ONU, le pays risque d'être victime des conflits en raison des détentions arbitraires et le non-respect des droits humains.
And for what makes news in Africa today, Naivona Nube, student journalist on internship, takes us through the African continent.
We begin in Nigeria, where the coordinator for defense media operations, Major General John Enenche, in a statement on Wednesday, August 19, said the military on August 18 has successfully frustrated the attempts by Boko Haram militants to resettle the Kukakwa community in Borno. The defense headquarters say the military eliminated 8 terrorists while several others escaped, though 3 soldiers were lost during the encounter, with few others currently receiving treatment at the military medical station after sustaining various degrees of injuries. Away from Nigeria, recent updates suggest that the death rate at childbirth in Uganda is on the rise, as over 16 women die each day in the country from complications related to pregnancy and childbirth, according to Uganda Demographic and Health Survey. Uganda's Constitutional Court has blamed these on the government's failure to provide basic material healthcare services for its population. In Zambia, Zambia's President Edgar Changwa says its Republican Vice President Mrs. Inonye Mutukwa Wina has tested positive for coronavirus together with her daughter, whom she lives with. The president, in a tweet, has wished the 79-year-old leader a quick recovery. As at now, the country's coronavirus statistics stands at 10,218 cases, with no new case recorded. We end in Sudan, where the Sudanese government has sacked its foreign ministry spokesperson Haidar Badawi for making unauthorized statements on talks about normalizing ties with the Israeli government. Sudan's foreign minister Omar Kwamaredia claims his government had not had talks on the normalization ties, which led to Badawi's acceptance of speaking in his personal capacity.
In sports, a date has been set for the long-awaited fight between Francis Ngannou and Hoga. The announcement was made in Douala yesterday during a press conference in Accra, bringing together the 2 boxers. It was equally revealed that a boxing hall will be constructed in Boya in the days ahead. Sportsman Fabrice Kendinga with details up ahead.
The much anticipated fight between 2 Cameroonian boxers, Francis Ngannou, also referred to as a predator, and Hoga, known as La Moraille in French, roughly translated as the world, has been programmed for the Golden Horde at Bonapriso in Douala on Saturday, the 29th of August 2020. This information was disclosed on Wednesday, August 19, 2020, during a press conference which held at Sportec in Accra, Douala, bringing on board both boxers. While responding to questions from the press, the celebrated Cameroonian boxer Francis Ngannou noted that the aim of the fight is to raise awareness, promote mixed martial arts in Cameroon, raise funds to construct a boxing hall in Boya, capital of the Southwest region, as well as an opportunity to amuse and entertain the Cameroonian public.
I'm not going to gain anything about this fight. It's just to entertain the public, after the coronavirus and all the pandemic, everything going on out there, people was like slapped. And something like this was the right thing to bring people to in the emotion, to make them happy.
On his part, Hoga, a comedian turned boxer, says he is training 4 hours daily ahead of the fight and will only show the world what he is capable of doing on the D-Day. Asked on why he decided to challenge Francis Ngannou, Hoga said he was angered by Francis beating UFC heavyweight star Jairzinho Rozenstruik in just 20 seconds at the Ultimate Fighting Championship in May 2020. To some pressmen, Hoga seems to be joking, but he says only the D-Day will tell.
I'm not here for a joke. Je ne suis pas ici pour faire des blagueries.
The press conference was also an opportunity to present some young talented Cameroonian boxers to the public. From the press conference, one can confidentially say it will be an entertaining and a must-watch fight. Francis Ngannou, the most talked about Cameroonian boxer these days, has recorded a total of 18 professional fights in his career, winning 15 and losing 3. The native of Batier in the West region has already constructed a boxing hall in his hometown, with Boya to follow soon. The anticipation is high, and many believe this could be a turning point in the country's boxing sport. For now, only the 29th of August will draw the curtains between the Predator, Francis Ngannou, and Lamorai Oga.
Prime News ends here. Thanks for being a part of today's edition of Prime News. Join us tomorrow, God willing, for the last edition of the week at 6:30 Cameroon time for another edition of Prime News on My Media Prime. Ewane Eli Nolinga produced the news, coordinated by Faith Tata Berenyoy. My name is Genda Pelge Blanche King. Until we meet again tomorrow, stay tuned to My Media Prime. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.